Okay, so Manny, my partner, was not able to make it, so it's just me for right now. And we decided to go with a top-down RPG type of defense game, but we decided to do some more fancy things. So right now I'm going to show you a limited version. The world is generated using Perlin noise, which is infinite and it's procedural, so it will never copy itself in multiple areas. So you have areas of green grass, you have water, you have dirt, and you have stone. And that was all just based on Perlin noise. But the way we did it was that we really focused on making it very modular. And we can swap out the noise with another type of noise really easily, but that would require changing code. And we also did a lot of stuff with animations, and that's all threads. As you can see, the player is walking. And the controls are just normal WASD. But enough about that. We have enemies for the player to fight. And the game consists of rounds where you have to fight the enemies, which are just orcs. And for fighting, you left click with your mouse. And these orcs, they spawn in a random area of a couple chunks. And you have health, so if they hit you too much and you go below 0, you will die and you have to restart the game. And the red markers on the corners of the screens are displaying where they are if they're off screen, so as you can see. But this one right now that I'm fighting, it's like a boss. They're tougher to fight and they hit harder. And another interesting feature of our game is that it can be in full screen. So yeah, I think the hardest part of the game was to create the animations because a lot of the images, they were incompatible and they were like in different sizes, and a lot of time was required to modify them in external programs such as GIMP and Photoshop to get them all working. But in the end, it all worked out. The AI of the enemies is really simple. It's sort of like uh, a implementation of my own idea of pathfinding, but there were some hiccups there because the orcs wouldn't do what I want them to do. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry. You go first, Mike.
so the Perlin noise generation, how many, how, where did you figure, how did you get the Perlin noise working? Where, like, is that a library you used, or is that something you implemented yourself?
Uh, I implemented that myself. As you can see here, but I used a website for help. It's up here in this comment. And this website really explains Perlin noise in great detail. There's essentially Perlin noises for any point in a 2D space. You find the four corners of the cell, and then you just do random vectors on that, and then you interpolate between those vectors. That's essentially what it is. But that it sounds simple in theory, but there's like for this permutation table, that's required for hashing and stuff like that. And then there's also octaves, which you can add layers of Perlin noise on top of each other. So yeah, this is the code mostly.
I had a question. How did you do the animation, like when you're walking?
Uh, Yeah, sure. So the animations consist of images like this, and I basically defined a specific enum number for each row. So the top row is when the player facing backward, and then the second row is left, front, and then right, and the same for the attacks. And in the animation, I just keep track of the index of the animation, and I draw that specific area of the texture of the image, and that's this code right here. So if the player is attacking, I use the attacking image, and then I just calculated the specific part of the image that I want to draw, and then I just draw that to the screen only.
So that's just in the same thread as everything else for the player, basically.
No, it's not, because the each entity, each object has its own thread, and each one is running on its own. So, but the player is kept track by its own thread.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
So, do the different terrains do anything? Like, I noticed there was like a blue terrain and a brown terrain and a green one. Do those have different effects on the player, or are they just for looks?
Right now, they're mostly for looks. I wanted to implement features like you can't go on certain terrain, like the blue, like the water, you can't go on that. But that would require the AI to use more advanced pathfinding, and I didn't have time to implement that. So right now, it's just for looks.